HeatCheck 2024 Fall Expo, Toronto International Center. Nowhere we'd rather be. Josh Madigan from the Hockey Cards Gong Show. Daryl Garner, Dr. Collectible. My name is Jeremy Lee from Sports Cards Live. We're here to talk about the Hobby HeatCheck. This is a Hobby HeatCheck. What's going on in the hobby? What is hot? What are we all excited about? We're all very excited for the hobby and to be here. Sports Card Expo. Josh Madigan of the Gong Show. Let's start with you. And I'm gonna come out with a heavy hitting question right out of the gate here, because this is the Hobby HeatCheck. What is hot in the hobby right now? What is it that your listeners, the listeners of the Gong Show, you do a mailbag for every episode or every second episode. What kind of questions are they asking? What do people want to know about these days?
Oh, SBA, man. Connor Bedard, Future Watch Auto.
SB
Future
Authentic.
Watch Auto. Yep. SB Authentic. The Future Watch Auto patches, FWAPs, as we like to call them, right? And a lot of products coming out right now in hockey. Almost every week we've had Metal Universe, PMGs, OBG Platinum come out. We had Series 1 come out a few weeks ago. And we're seeing multi-year releases, too. We're seeing 22, 23, and 24.
You know, you mentioned SP Authentic. You mentioned Connor Bedard. Obviously, Connor Bedard is driving the hockey card side of the hobby right now. And his cards are selling for amounts that kind of blow my mind, when a Connor Bedard card will sell for more than some Crosbys, Ovechkins, even McDavids, that kind of thing. You know, Dr. Collectible, if I could, I want to ask you, because you live in the States. Whereabouts do you live in the States?
So I'm originally
Just wait. Are we down a mic?
1, 2.
Oh,
There we go.
Mic check. There we go. So I'm originally from St. Louis, East St. Louis, Illinois. But I moved to Atlanta about 15 years ago.
All right. So
Yeah, man. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Shout out to ATL. Shout out to Braves, Falcons. Y'all know what time it is. I'm an Eagles guy, though. But the one thing that I think was hot in the hobby is how people transcend their collections. And what I mean by that is transcending what you collect. If you collect music, there's a grading company called AMG Grading out there. If you're looking to grade your vinyls, cassettes, CDs, you name it. Not only that, you have so many different things out here. Either you collect crystals, sneakers, comic books, NFTs, you name it, there is so much to collect. So I feel like when it comes to the HeatCheck, collect what you love, but make the best out of that situation, you know?
So you're basically saying that collecting is hot right now. Having a hobby, a collecting hobby, whatever it is that you're collecting, that is hot. You're seeing that because you go to lots of shows. You travel to a lot of shows around North America now. I saw you in Vancouver last month.
Yes, sir.
We've been hanging out a lot lately. It's interesting because, you know, we in Canada are so hockey centric, yet I walk the show floor here. I see comic books, like you say. I don't see NFTs because they don't really, you know, they don't manifest, you know, they're not really physical things, but we see a lot of hockey cards in the room here. You come up here, you are obviously in tune with what's going on with all collecting, as your name, Dr. Collectible.
Yes, sir.
But I want to focus in on the hobby as it relates mostly here to Toronto and Canada and hockey cards, because that's really what is the hottest in the room. But I'm going to go away from that a minute and say, listen, I look at all the booths out there today. I walk the floor, lots of basketball, lots of baseball, not a ton of football. Are you starting to notice, because you've been to Canada a couple times now, are you starting to notice more non-hockey cards in the showcases here?
Yes. I'm going to be honest. First thing I want to say is that I learned so much more about hockey coming to Toronto, Vancouver, and other places when it comes to Canada. Because I'm a blues guy. Shout out to my St. Louis Blues out there. You know, we had Wayne Gretzky for what? They say 90 days, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, but overall, it's like I went to my first Blues game last year, preseason against the Blackhawks. And I've been in St. Louis majority of my life. And to be able to enjoy that moment, it was nothing but a surreal moment, because you get that atmosphere of people cheering. It's cold in there, but you might need to get you a beer, get you a drink, or whether if it's a hot meal to keep that type of atmosphere going. So for me, being cold in a place, for us being around hockey, it was different. But I enjoyed the atmosphere, and that was going to a preseason game.
So, Josh, I want to ask you, because you are a hockey guy through and through. Hockey Cards Gong Show, everybody. If you haven't heard of it, you're sleeping. Josh, what is it like being so hockey-focused as an American in the U.S.? Listen, you come up now to Toronto for the Expo from the States, and you are the host of, the most important, the biggest, the hottest hockey cards podcast that's out there on the airwaves. What is it like? I'm gonna ask you this question, and it's gonna sound a little bit loaded, but it isn't. Do you feel at all like, because baseball is America's game, hockey's our game, do you have any imposter syndrome coming here as a hockey card guy? And if you do, you shouldn't, but I'm curious if there's any of that feeling in your psychology.
Not so much anymore. At first, though, I don't know if I would call it imposter syndrome, but we were really nervous that we would be accepted by the Canadian, because it's your game. I mean, we don't pretend that hockey is America's pastime or anything like that. And, we just wanted to be, not rejected, I guess. But I think what helped, though, is that we didn't try to be something we weren't either. Right, we knew that. Listen, I don't have the knowledge that Jeremy Lee does when it comes to 40 years of collecting, or we don't, follow every minute of every second of every game, and that we were learning and kind of taking people along the way. And it's very humbling, actually, that Canada it's. The top 10 cities that listen and watch our show are all Canadian cities.
Well, and that's not surprising. It is a hockey card.
Sure.
And that's one of the things I love about the podcast that you do is, first of all, you named it The Gong Show, which almost gives you sort of permission to not be perfect. And you don't have to be. And the other thing is that I think you called it humbling, but it's humble. And I think it resonates with so many people because you guys don't pretend to be anything that you're not. You are learning what you didn't know, but you're also instructing what you do, because you become very informed and knowledgeable, and somewhat of even a knowledge leader at this point in terms of modern product and what's coming out. I had somebody come to my booth earlier today and tell me that listening to the Gong Show has caused them to start collecting whatever it was. So, you probably hear this too, but it's nice to hear it from someone else as well, I think it's awesome what you guys have built, and it's a sign that, back to Hobby HeatCheck, hockey is hot. It's hot in Canada. It's hot in the States. Connor Bedard has had a lot to do with that, but as has Upper Deck, has done a great job coming out with great products month after month, right? I mean, and we don't all love everything that they're doing, but we love a lot of what they're doing, or you can find pieces within each of them everywhere. Daryl, back to you for a second. You again. Do you draw any parallels when you come up here and you feel the vibe in the room amongst all of the Canadian, even the Americans that come up here? Do you draw any parallels between the nature of the collectors up here versus the ones that you see at all the shows? Because, dude, every weekend I see you gallivanting in another city doing your thing. You're everywhere. I guess I could ask it as I just did, or I could even reframe it a little bit. What do you find different as far as energy and vibes up here in Canada?
So, America and Canada is pretty different for me. I think it has similar tastes. I love that Blues hat, man. Stanley Cup, that's what I'm talking about. St. Louis, right? My brother. I'm sorry, y'all. I seen that cap. I had to show
That's
love.
all good.
So there you go. That's the community that I'm talking about. Gravitating. I seen the hat on his head. I'm on stage right now, and I'm able to gravitate to having a great conversation about hockey. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not a lot of conversations in America, but I think it shows a lot about Canada, and y'all stand on principles. Just like us in football. It's an American sport. I'm pretty sure you're going to see a lot of football. The same way I feel for hockey. But the other thing is that hockey has just blended itself into the American culture, regardless. Everybody might not watch it like how they watch football or basketball in the States. But the thing is, the parallels come from being able to enjoy the same thing. And I see it at shows. The same thing that I'm getting at a sports card event in America, I am getting here. But I do feel like y'all have a community. The community is strong here. This is my second show. Not only that, I've been to Vancouver. And also, shout out to CSC back there. I went to their show about a month ago. And I live in the States. I live in Atlanta. And I've been, my first time, hold on, let me give a shout out to Canada real quick. My first time ever coming out the country was Canada, Toronto. I'm glad to be here. I love the culture. And I must say, y'all rep hockey just as strong as we rep football and basketball in the States.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, we're obviously super passionate about it. This is a hockey-centric show. I don't know that when you go to the shows in the States, it's not like it's a baseball show or a basketball show. Or, they used to all be baseball card shows, but now there's as much basketball as there is baseball at almost any show, except maybe, you know, Strongsville, which is mostly vintage, a lot of vintage baseball. But the passion and the interest that you see here, that you're seeing, and even and you too, Josh, when you come up here to this show, does the energy that the hobbyists, the collectors, the attendees, that they have towards hockey cards, how does that measure against the passion, the energy you see in the States for those collectors with, say, baseball or basketball?
I don't know. A little bit for me, that's tough to answer because I feel so ingrained into the hockey community. And so for me to come to this show, well, I came, this is my fifth time. I think the second time I came, I didn't buy a single card, and I had the best time. It's more about, it's a get-together. It's like a family gathering of the hobby is how I see both the fall and the spring expo, and it's where we all come together, and we get to see each other a couple times a year. And sure, there's great cards, and there's great collectibles, and there's cool things to see, but there's Guy Torrey right there. Every friend that I've made in the hobby, I've made at this show, and I've come all the way from Minnesota to do that, man.
How about you, Daryl? What do you notice similarities or differences in terms of the collectors, the attendees, the hobbyists, and their energy for the hobby? Does it differ here, or do you feel it different here versus what you see down there?
Yeah, something that you pointed out not too long ago. I'm not sure if y'all heard what this guy said, but y'all have shows strictly for hockey. As far as I know, there's no show strictly for baseball in America. There's no shows that are strictly for football. You maybe get a little soccer here and there, but I noticed the culture is different because y'all are willing to have a show about one sport or multiple sports because y'all, I feel like there's a support base for that. And then on top of that, in America, I just feel like there's a mosh pit of just everything going on at one time. We're all still trying to figure that thing out.
Yeah, when I go to the National, for example, I'm noticing that it's, you know, probably 35% baseball, 30% basketball, and then the rest is football, 3% hockey, and Pokemon. You know, is the rest. Whereas here, you walk the rows, the aisles here, you're looking at probably, 70% hockey, and the 30% is split between baseball, basketball, football, and TCG stuff. So we don't necessarily have a hockey-only show, and there's been more and more non-hockey that's come into these shows, the expos, in recent years, especially with more and more Americans coming up to the show. I'm the only Canadian on the stage right now between all three of us. I don't know, what does that tell you right there, that we're getting more and more people coming up, and it's because guys like you come up. So, you know, on behalf of Canadians, thank you guys for making the trip, because it makes everyone's experience that much better. It does tell me that the hobby is hot as far as a heat check and being hot in Canada. Upper Deck does a great job with hockey cards. We don't get as many non-hockey cards up. Like basketball's hard for stores to get, from Panini and Topps products, tough to get. But overall, I think the hobby's doing pretty darn well. We're just as excited to be here as we have been for any expo, for me, for the past 20 or so years, and for you guys since you started coming, right? I mean, it's just exciting. We got the Rip Party going on tomorrow night. Tonight after the show, we got the networking event at Jack Astor's.
Yeah.
You'll be at both. We'll all be at all these events. Looking forward to it. Any sort of final comments, guys, on the temperature of the hobby right now?
Yeah, I feel like the hobby is hot. I'm going to be honest with you. I might be thinking too far, but when you look at these breakers that are online, the content creators, they are the new rock stars. Like, I feel like everybody wants to be able to break that one-on-one, get that autograph card, or pull that Pokemon card. And if you notice that, them people tend to go viral on social media. Whether if it's a little kid in the store pulling the card, or whether if it's an adult at home chilling with his friends ripping the pack. I would say at least I feel like we are becoming them new rock stars. You see us booming on social media, content-wise, Fanatics, whatnot, eBay, you name it. I mean, there's so many other companies that's looking to buy into the hobby in many different ways. So I feel like we hot.
And I just hope that they're not overdoing it. You know what I mean? There's a balance there. There's got to be a proper strategy to roll that all out and not to inundate hobbyists with more than they can consume. And I think that's a delicate balance. Josh, final thoughts on your temperature of the hobby?
I think it's alive and well. You know, too often I think we get very focused on price and values, but when you come to a show like this and you see not just the quantity of people that come, but everyone having a good time, everyone engaged in the hobby, everyone excited to look at cards, excited to see old friends, that's, to me, those are the important things that I want to see.
That's because sports cards is a lifestyle, baby.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go.
No, I think those are great comments, and that's what it's about. I mean, we immerse ourselves in this hobby, and it's not just because of the cards, because of the collectibles or any collectible. It's because of the relationships. It's because of the bonds and the gathering here at Toronto Expo twice a year, other shows that we all see each other at. It's the community, which is the best part. I do love the cards too, don't get me wrong, but I love the community and making new friends and learning about people and why we're all here, because it's a great cross-section of humanity for the most part. And we're all fortunate enough to be here. So what a great way to kick off the expo here, fall. But Dr. Collectible has another comment.
All right, there you go, man. There you go.
This guy here to the right of me, Jeremy Lee. I want to give him a round of applause for what he do. Not only that, you put Canada on the map. I really do feel like you do as much as you can to trying to figure out the right explore or, push the agenda of what Canadians are about within the hobby. I really do feel like you do that, especially when it comes to hockey and all other cards, but you do it well. So I'm just giving you your flowers on that.
It's very nice. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah. What, Josh, do you have something nice to say about me now?
I did, but we're out of time. They're telling us that we're.
There's the
sorry.
bell. Saved by the bell. Guys, thank you for, you good?
I'm good.
Thank you for joining us, tuning in live on the app, and everyone who's watching this later. We're going to have a great expo, everybody. Thank you once again.